Absolutely. We're excited about the next panelist. I will be hosting the next panel, which is the Chamber of Commerce. And what we're looking at is COVID-19 pandemic is unprecedented in its global reach and impact, posing formidable challenges to policymakers and the empirical analysis of direct and indirect issues that COVID has posed. Now, one of the critical things that it has posed, like even in New York, that helped to initiate this conversation and the way it addressed the COVID issue around businesses, that in the state that 1/3 of small businesses in New York have indicated that they have exhausted their state and federal resources. So as chambers, we are going to consider how can chambers support or intervene throughout this post-COVID crisis of economic growth. Our guest speaker that will speaking to us will be an overlap on this discourse of economic growth, and that will be Ashnish KR. She is from India. She will be speaking with us, and we're excited to have her with us. How are you, dear? Take it away.
I am fine, ma'am. How are you?
I'm well.
Shall I start?
Yes, ma'am, please. It's all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Dream with endeavor, lead with conviction, and see yourself in a way that others might not see you solely because they have never seen it before. Greetings for the day. I feel gratified enough to be part of this mega event. I really want to thank Loretta, ma'am, for holding such a beautiful event and inviting us as a panelist. Thank you so much. On a personal note, I'm Rashneet Kaur, an Indian resident and CPO at Worldwide Patient Care and Development Private Limited and its brand Hello 9X. I pride myself on being detail-oriented and rational person. Hello 9X is a single window portal for our enthusiastic farmers globally. We have a sustainable marketplace that provides food, products, ensures the best demand and supply chain. We acquaint our farmers with modern farming and production operations under just one roof. Our brand, Hello 9X, is formulated and processed to provide you with a marketplace where you can sell and buy prime agricultural produce. Now let's start with today's topic of the forum, that is women empowerment. I always say a woman alone has power. Collectively, we have impact. Raising each other and channelizing the power of collaboration is truly how we'll change the pre-existing equation between a man and a woman. Women's suffrage movement that took back in late 1800s, the women's liberation movement of 1960s, the Black feminism movement of 1970s, the Me Too movement, they all continue to gain momentum. But are we even closer to an empowered environment? Women of the world continues to fight a battle, whether it's a basic fundamental right that perhaps still inaccessible to women in small isolated parts of the world. Issues like female infanticide, child marriage, rape in marriages, and more continue to exist. Or whether it's a powerful privileged woman publicly fighting for issues like wage equality, the right to marry who they want to, or waging a war against sexual harassment. Stories of women fighting to be heard and for equality are everywhere around us. Women empowerment is a pressing concern that each of us can affirm of hearing. But do we really understand what is women empowerment? Or are today's women really empowered? The administrations have accentuated women empowerment in true spirit. It's a well-known aphorism that the fortune of a child is invariably the labor of a mother. And how can we defy the prestige of a woman who as a mother rears and nurtures an admirable child? turning into great persons like Milkha Singh, Mahatma Gandhi, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and many more. Also, the women, including Indira Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Kalpana Chawla, gave scripted stories to trump in Indian chronology. If women are really empowered, then why did we come across national and international headings like, it is going to take 108 years to close the gender gap? Women in rural parts of Africa spend 40 billion hours a year just to collect water. Globally, 12 million girls each year get married before the age of 18, roughly 33,000 every day. Once a year, 2 seconds. There are more than 650 million women alive today who were child brides. One woman reported a rape every 15 minutes on average in India. And what's happening in the world? Women's empowerment can be illustrated as stimulating women's sense of self-worth, their ability to discern their discretions, and their liability to influence social change for themselves and others. It is closely aligned with female empowerment, a fundamental human right that's also key to achieve a more peaceful and prosperous world. Women's empowerment and promoting women's rights have emerged as a part of a major international movement and are continuing to break new ground in recent years. Days like International Women's Days are also gaining momentum, but despite a tremendous deal of headway, women and girls prevail to face prejudice and violence in every part of the world. To remove this, the male chauvinism, we at Hello 9X recon that a woman is not weak and should never be contemplated so, but her natural tenderness and sympathy have too often been fudged as shortcomings. If a woman draws on her strength within, she can become a source of heroism and discrimination. Our male society should sincerely help her realize and acknowledge her latent strengths. We are a female-centric organization with charming women who undertake challenges in the eye and give it a wink. Being every successful woman is a tribe for other successful women who have her back. And I can proudly say that in an organization where I work, it's founded by a female. And she is the one who leads us. The organization is founded by Mrs. Inderjeet Kaur Bhatia. That's her wisdom and courage which has brought us here. For me, women empowerment is not just about instructing women or involving women in the decision-making process. It's about gender equality, validating their thoughts and perspectives, relishing their efforts and decisions, letting them make their own life decisions without forcing them. I, at Hello 9X, manage my enthusiastic team by empowering them in any way possible. And I say that every way possible. The one thing what I feel that really makes them empowered is by asking them a simple question. I want to hear 3 things that you are most proud of. Write them and reflect on yourself. We as an organization make them realize their true self and worth by showing them who they really are. We lift women by adopting more pro-female, pro-family approaches, undertaking policies which include moving from family to individual taxation, providing more affordable childcare and parental leave, allowing for more flexible working arrangements. We bridge the divide between men and women by unlocking their doors to success and unblocking their avenues of opportunity. In order to really give women empowerment to the society, the main cause of the evil practices against women, the hierarchical and male-dominant structure, needs to be understood and abolished. It must be open-minded to reform the old mind of women along with democratic and other legal provisions. In the end, I would like to conclude by saying, I stand by women always, always, and forever. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so very much. That was very powerful, extremely powerful. I like the part that you brought in the aspects that it's gender inequity. And that's a part of the conversation that sometimes get removed. Do we have any concerns, comments, or responses to the conversation?
I think it was wonderful the part she talked about. The mother is very substantial to any success that we achieve in life, and the mother doing such an extraordinary job to develop leaders.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ashter. That was a wonderful conversation and one that will be moving forward. We'll find more information on her on our site or on Equinet, and she can also post her information on the chat space as well. So conversations will definitely be continuing around that discourse, and we're really excited about considering those conversations. Thank you again. Our next speaker is the president of the Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce here in New York City. And thank you so very much, Phil Andrews.
Good morning.
Hi, Phil. Good morning.
Good morning. In response to the question that you raised, we, the Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce, launched a retool, refocus, rebuild campaign to rebuild business in America, like America. So I think one of the things that we learned from COVID is don't wait for crisis to appear to get the community prepared. And as a Chamber of Commerce, I'm sure the Pan-African American Chamber of Commerce would agree with me that the Chamber of Commerce is one of the most well-known organizations in the country. And we have to be ready at all times for crises like this. One of the things that we advocate, one of the things that we do is we make advocacy one of our centerpieces, meaning that there is this business.
On ira directement d'abord à Chinatown, non?
I'm sorry.
On va directement à Chinatown faire des courses parce qu'après on peut revenir ici, c'est pas un problème, tu vois? Parce que si on fait le contraire.
Laura, so you should be able to mute her.
Yes, I just did. Thank you. I'm sorry, Phil. Please go forward.
Okay, one of the things that we make as our signature piece is advocacy. And when I say advocacy, I'm talking on behalf of the Pan-African American Chamber of Commerce and the Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce. There's this business organization that's out there that's equipped to bring resources to the community. So the larger our voices are, then those resources come to us. During the pandemic, we had things such as law firms saying to us, hey, we want to have a workshop around tenants not being able to be evicted under special circumstances and conditions. And on a regular time, we follow the five pillars of the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce, chamber development. Now, you know how important chamber development is. Chamber development, our businesses could only be as strong as the Chamber of Commerce. We follow contracting, entrepreneurial training, technical assistance, and access to capital. So these are things that not new things to us. So, and we also tell our businesses, don't wait till you need a loan to apply for it. Learn how to access the system, learn how to work with the Small Business Administration in advance, the SBDC. And one of the things that we've learned is that if we get the word out that there's a valuable organization like the Chamber of Commerce, the resources will come. And many may not know, but chambers of commerce are some of the most well-known and long-established organizations in the world. So being that, we have to be very equipped as a Chamber of Commerce. And going forward, what we did this year was we partnered with a bank. One of the top 5 lenders in the country reached out to us, Customers Bank, and said, we want to partner with you to make sure we reach the underserved community. So that's why it's so important for us to really keep that voice out there as a Chamber of Commerce, because I do believe that when business people come together, if nobody could do it, business people are very special. They have vision, they are problem solvers, they know how to look under a problem, over a problem, around the problem, and they also have a history of being innovators. So business is as a chamber is a body. When you got all of this intellect coming together. And this is just a challenge for us globally and locally to really come together in a way that we've never did it in the past. And we're finding that too, for the people of color, this has been a unique opportunity. There's been more access to capital. There've been more corporations coming on board. So this is our shining moment. But in your shining moment, you have to be prepared. And that's what we're telling the businesses and the chambers of commerce. We have to be prepared. So COVID is actually, it was a good test for us to actually to learn how to access some of these programs. And many people don't realize that, PPP gets a lot of attention, but it's not the only emergency program. During the time of Sandy, the same thing, the SBA came to the aid. They had loans. I was the president of 100 Black Men. We was able to get our building restored to its original through government backing. So the government backs loans many times in the form of crisis, because we got to get the country back and running. And I'm sure this is the same problem all over the world when things like this happen. How do we get the engine working? But one of the ways to get the engine working always is to develop great chambers of commerce, like the Pan African American Chamber of Commerce and the Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That is quite informative, and a lot of people don't really know that there were systems in place prior to COVID in New York. And like you stated, the experience came from Sandy. We understood the impact of Hurricane Sandy. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns we'd like to extend to Phil? Okay, great. Well, Phil put his information on chat, please. Feel free to reach out to him. He is a wealth of knowledge and information. He's my go-to. Whenever I've got a question, I reach out to Phil because I know he has an answer for me, and I'm excited about that. So thank you very much for your time, Phil. Our next speaker is Deidre Watson. She's coming from us from Johannesburg, and she is the project team leader for Burl Group, as well as the American Arts Chamber of Commerce. Deidre? There you are.
Yeah, thank you so much, Loretta. Thank you so much. Yeah, good afternoon from my side, but good morning to you. I'm sure it's still good morning there. As Loretta just mentioned, representing the newly established American Arts Chamber of Commerce, and secondly, also coming to you as an entrepreneur, because that is the perspective I'll be talking, from. For 12 years running, I had my own creative agency and fashion range, and also just asking the question how we can truly make a change by being creative. And then thirdly, running the projects team as an executive at Burl Group. It's a Black-owned company, and actually our focus is on entrepreneurship and how we can advance entrepreneurship on the continent to truly make economic, change on the continent. So my topic would be, in terms of the chambers, also just looking at the role of entrepreneurship and the community. And the topic is, what does it mean to be a global entrepreneur in a disrupted world? And how can we be impactful economic change agents working together in this new era? So from the outset, I'm not going to try and say that we have the answers to these questions, but I think it's a very good place to have these robust conversations and asking these questions to really become the change agents in this disrupted world. When making statements of being global entrepreneurs and being impactful, I think I'll just have to go back to defining some of these concepts, as globalization is the macro concept, and also the role of innovative entrepreneurship in economic development, dismantling the cause and effect, if you want, and in so doing, starting the process of reconstruction, because I think we are in such a time where we actually have the opportunity to reconstruct entrepreneurship and what we want to see in terms of change. A global entrepreneur seeks out and conducts new and innovative business activities across national borders. As we know, these activities can consist of, exporting, licensing, and so forth. The parameters of globalization can already be picked up in this statement. The concept of globalization is further explained. It is the world economy which we think of as being globalized. We mean that the whole of the world is increasingly behaving as though it were part of a single market. with independent production, consuming similar goods and responding to the same impulses. So why I'm regurgitating these things? Because I think we have to understand the environment we are working in, and actually how COVID also came and impacted such structure that we are part of. Technological progress is the key driver and cause of globalization, as it's also impacted the cost and speed of travel and communication of information. Did this affect to a lesser or greater power us as entrepreneurs? Did it give us more power or less? One could probably say, you can probably fight for either side, but for all intended purposes, one can say that the almost absolute monopoly of trade and production, which belonged only to large companies the past century, has been lost under the influence of the globalization processes and innovative technologies. So, what does this look like considering the COVID-19 situation or atmosphere that we're in? And what does it mean to be impactful, sustainable change agents? Despite the notion that the pandemic brought greater connection with a generally perceived universal response to the disruptive virus through lockdown regulations, vaccine development, and technological connectivity, it also brought, if not to a greater extent, isolation and economic disruption, almost imploding this connectedness of globalization for a minute. The changes of COVID has already made, the business environment, it's already had deep and profound and will be lasting, change in this environment. These changes present a multitude of challenges, but also opportunities for global entrepreneurs and their ventures. Known for their skillful and resourcefulness, entrepreneurs are likely to develop new ways of reframing these issues and operating and competing, charting new strategic directions and embarking on innovative moves to navigate this new global competitive landscape. I think the key lies in this. It will be crucial that we find opportunities amid the crisis, that we have to be agile in nature and cognizant of how we value innovation and entrepreneurial systems. While many startups have and will fail to survive the crisis, the pandemic has also given rise to more and new innovative entrepreneurial activity. The nature of innovation is often incremental, but at the same time essential for survival and adapting to our new normal. But what we see today is we have the potential to reconfigure entrepreneurship and creating new entrepreneurial role models that people can more easily identify with. This could ultimately lower the threshold of entrepreneurship for many and stimulate people to start their own businesses. We might not have all the imperative and empirical data to show the fact that entrepreneurship can have economic, that we can be economic change agents and truly impact economic growth, but we can become that bridge as chambers, as entrepreneurs, as businessmen and women. We can be the bridge between economies, the bridge between cultures and continents, the bridge of economical and wealth movement. With that said, it's a choice. And I'm speaking as an entrepreneur. Do we see ourselves as having lesser power, or do we have more? In this economy that we find ourselves in? It will be important for entrepreneurs to fully harness the new opportunities that a COVID-impacted global world has brought, especially through further technological progression, to challenge the status quo through innovative and robust ideas and execution. But most importantly, that even though isolated, that we learn to be truly collaborative community across borders. Again, I believe that that is the answer, to build together. That would be our true power. How can we really connect and become that community cross-border, true globalization? Let me just take it home quickly before closing. Africa is home to me, and more specifically, South Africa, as mentioned. Africa is increasingly taking its place on the global stage as a continent of growth and opportunity. The economic and social upheaval caused by the COVID-19 pandemic has, however, highlighted the need for a collective and robust national, continental, and even global strategy to unlock entrepreneurship and the potential on the continent. African entrepreneurship as and will be central to Africa's future prosperity. The biggest business opportunities in the coming decade will, I believe, and many believe, will be created by Africans who start businesses, generate jobs and wealth, and capture growth opportunities, as we also educate ourselves and, you know, transfer knowledge from one another. We've seen entrepreneurs, and with this also just going back to the previous panel, especially women entrepreneurs on the arise on the African continent. Yet critical challenges, not even fully considering the challenges born from this pandemic, and not even considering the positive effect of the opening up of the greater market on the continent with the implementation of the Africa Free Trade Agreement. Challenges remain in Africa, particularly the need to create significant number of jobs for the continent's booming population, and the need to build homegrown business leaders able to access global markets and drive growth in a sustainable and inclusive manner. Yeah, I can just mention that intra-Africa trade statistically only translate to 15%, where intra-European measures around 67%, and the Americas are around 46%. How can we change this and also become a global player? I believe through global collaboration, we can build an environment that identifies and cross-pollinates grassroots innovation across Africa, sparking intra-Africa trade and accelerate the success of the business ideas. It will also promote the role of African entrepreneurs within the global innovation network and put African innovators front and center on the global stage. As mentioned, such endeavors cannot exist in a vacuum. African entrepreneurs can change the world. And this time, let's give them a platform. Let's be part of and affect sustainable change, be a true global community. I think we have the power to do this. What might feel like a time of being powerless, as businessmen and women, as entrepreneurs, we have the power to impact our communities. Let's start there, our countries, our continents, and the globe. For this to become a reality, however, we certainly need more of these conversations where we open up, where we really understand each other, where we start to understand ourselves as people, as nations, the differences that we have, the similarities that we have. That is where it becomes a reality for us. It's only through partnership and collaboration, harnessing each other's strength and harnessing knowledge from each other, that us as global entrepreneurs, we will be able to be sustainable and impactful in our endeavors to build a greater and inclusive world economy through the establishing of an integrated solution that plays the convergence of people, funding, and currencies, where we share technology, data, skill, content, and knowledge. The nations are awaiting the bridge builders of trade and commerce, of skill and resource, of wealth. So I just want to thank you for the opportunity that I could share these thoughts with you today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deirdre. Powerful, powerful. Are there any questions, comments, concerns that one would like to address? Okay, great. Well, the wonderful thing is, Deirdre, put your information in chat. Again, you can go to equinet.market, go under there. There's a page that she has, as all of our panelists have, and we can continue conversations there. And it seems like we're all on LinkedIn. And just to give you a sidebar, that's how I found everyone. So we're grateful to LinkedIn and for its relationship in allowing these type of communities to transpire as well. We're excited about our next panelist, who's coming from us from California, Hayward, California. He's the president of and CEO of the Hayward Chamber of Commerce, Kim Huguet. And what is really interesting is he and Joanne and our California crew, I thank you so much for getting up so early in the morning. I mean, it's really early for them, but thank you so much. Kim, you have the floor.
Thank you, Phil and Deirdre, for your comments this morning. My comments will be a little bit more localized, more of the grassroots approach where we've come from. So just good morning, colleagues from here in Hayward, California, which is just across the bay from San Francisco, where it's 7:11 a.m. I'm so pleased to be able to share with you my thoughts on where chambers are going in the post-pandemic environment. We're a mid-sized chamber for California, about 530 members, and we survived the pandemic in much the same way as many of our members did, with the SBA loan, economic injury disaster loan, the payroll protection program, and other loans and grants as we could find them. Before the pandemic, 30% of our revenue was from sponsors and ticket sales to events. With those eliminated here in California, we survived by cutting staff costs and using those loans and grants. We used the impact of the recession 10, 12 years ago to estimate what our membership loss might be. And we came very close when we estimated our revenue from dues would fall about 9%. While we lost some of our smaller members, we were fortunate in that many of our manufacturers stayed with us and were faithful in paying their dues. So that meant we needed to brainstorm and come up with survival skills. We have many nonprofit organizations in the chamber that continued to meet together weekly via Zoom, and they mainly ended up discussing programs about how to run virtual events and fund online auctions. What we realized was that now more than ever, nonprofits like ours need to demonstrate our value. One of the ways we did that was to expand our email list to more than 1,300 and sent out twice weekly newsletters with news about loans, grants, and free business survival webinars offered with the County Small Business Development Center. We became the source of this kind of information to our members and others. Another way we demonstrated our chamber's importance was that I continued to attend meetings of the City Council and Planning Commission, the kind of advocacy that Phil was talking about. I spoke out on behalf of businesses when these bodies took up issues related to economic development, and more than once had to marshal forces of businesses to get politicians to back off of efforts that would actually damage our recovery. In lieu of events, we pumped up our social media outreach and generated sponsorships by producing campaigns acknowledging local leaders during Hispanic, Black, and Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Months. We were also fortunate that many of our food manufacturers continued to have overseas exports that required certificates of origin and free sale from the chamber. If your chamber does not offer this option to its members, I encourage you to look into the possibility because it's a great non-due source of income. We kept up our regular meetings no matter how small they got, so we could say we were maintaining continuity. For example, sometimes the nonprofit organization would have Zoom meetings of only about 12 people, but we could say we were still offering valuable content to those members. I hosted 8 Zoom meetings just last month, and many of those groups are now having conversations about going back to in-person meetings. The Western Association of Chamber Executives released a poll last week that showed that in the Western states, 96 chamber boards of directors are already back to meeting in person, and 103 expect to be doing so by August. So this caused my board to take a look at its plan for returning to in-person meetings. My board is generally interested in this, but they want to kind of dip their toe in the water, so we'll be moving back to quarterly. We'll be meeting in person to see how that works. Finally, I want to encourage you to abide by your bylaws throughout the recovery, and that includes enforcing term limits for your board of directors. I have 4 directors who will conclude their 2 3-year terms at our board meeting in just about 15 minutes. I found replacements representative of the diversity of our community, ethnically and by business size. This is a profound statement to your members that the work of your chamber goes on. Your members, your boards, and your communities are lucky to have you helping them through the pandemic and now into the recovery period. Continue to remind them how important you are to the community and the members you serve. And thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this morning.
Thank you so very much, Kim. I know that it has been a challenge for him because he has got to go. I respect that. Totally understand that. Are there any questions or comments? He did post his information where he can be reached. And again, on Equinet, our page, there's opportunities for you to reach out to him there as well.
I would just like to say that, first I'd like to say he did a great job with his presentation. And also, you know, there's a lot of talk around a hybrid approach, continuing the digital aspect along with personal meetings. We saw it as an opportunity to increase our market size and serve more people.
Absolutely, 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 Phil. What we're doing here with PACC-USA, because it is an international chamber of commerce, hybridity will always be a part of our relationship. It allows us to connect and create and continue alliances across the globe since South Africa is a big distance from me. I just can't drive there. So Zoom works well. Zoom works quite well. And thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Our final panelists for this particular aspect of discussion on the Chamber of Commerce and the work that people are doing around chambers is Karan Singh Bhatia. He is actually a board director for the Punjabi Chamber of Commerce here in New York. And he's also in India now doing great work with his organization, Halo 9X. So we'll take it away.
Thank you, Loretta. Thank you, Loretta, for giving me such a wonderful opportunity to speak in front of everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Presently, I'm in Ghana, and good morning, everyone who is in the eastern part, and good evening to everyone who is in the western part. Okay, so first of all, whatever everyone is speaking over here, I truly respect them, and that's a great idea. But personally, I believe that having these kinds of conversations are good, but most important is to have implementation, a proper implementation on these ideas.
Yes.
Okay. Now let me give you a brief intro about myself. My name is Karan Singh Bhatia. I'm a board director for Punjabi Chamber of Commerce, New York. I'm a CEO of Worldwide Peace in Care and Development Private Limited, and its brand Hello 9X. Now, when you call, say the name represent Worldwide Peace in Care, as an entrepreneur, I just wanted to solve a problem which is related to agriculture. Agriculture industry I'm developing in such a way where I can solve the problem for the zero, where we are just moving towards the zero hunger, where we are building up a proper supply for food, where I'm helping the farmers in terms of solving their entire problems. And the best part is maximizing the farmer's problem by providing them a great marketplace across the globe. Removing the middleman from this agriculture industry is a big profit to the farmer. Working on the development of these small-scale farmers, providing them with a fresh drinking water supply, electricity, and all those things which these societies are being cut down from the global world. As we know, like farming is not an easy job. So what we are trying to do is we are just trying to help the farmers with machines. We are helping them with the education. We are helping them to know what is the basic fundamental of farming. If they are spending like 8 hours a day in farm, what they are getting at the end of the day. So we are turning them as entrepreneurs. Like Ms. Watson said, we should come up and bring the people to know what they are doing and what they are getting back. If personally we can solve the problem of all these people who are deprived from the modern world, we can come up and we can solve all these problems. I'm sorry to say this, but nowadays, multi-billionaires and trillionaires are working up on establishing the societies in Moon and Mars. Our vision is a little different. I'm working on a sustainability of those societies which already exist in this globe. Who have seen in next 50 years where the societies are going to be established in Mars? I think we are not there to see those things. But presently, we are there to help our brothers and sisters which are in need. Like Ms. Ashneet told me that for these women, we have developed a platform where we are giving the 40% of employment only to women, so that we want the women to come up, take the charge. Since we know that women is the backbone of a family, similarly, we are bringing women up, and bringing them up is a backbone, making the society, they can bring the changes in the society. This is what our vision is. Now, coming up to the next point, our main focus is to save the African culture from being overtaken by these Chinese and Chinese people across the globe. Now we are seeing in African countries, a lot of Chinese companies are there, which they give the small funds, and now the governments are not able to return those funds, and they are trying to make them the country's slave. So coming up over there, coming up on a ground reality, we are taking some actions to build a proper supply chain where we can grow in Africa and we can supply the food in various parts of the globe where they can't grow. This is what we are doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. That is really powerful. I have a question for you. How are you creating that type of direction or growth of assuring that the land still maintains and sustains itself in the community that should have access to? How are you doing that through because you identified China's relationship of acquiring the land? So what are some of the strategies or tools that you're using?
Like presently, we are just coming up in, like what we are doing in Ghana. We are just a problem solver. Whosoever have any problem related to agriculture, they can come and consult us. Similarly, we are doing some piloting project where we are showing up how fast, how good we can grow the things. And the best part is we are not using any kind of chemicals, any kind of pesticides, which makes an open gate for all the developed countries to buy those food stuff, as there is no chemical use. Now we are helping the farmers with the machines. We are educating them. We are providing them with all the necessary things and affordable prices. Let me give you an example. Here in Ghana, 1 acre of farmland acquires 1,000 Ghana cedis, approximately 1,000 Ghana cedis as activity cost. Bringing machines and our idea in Ghana, we have reduced the cost to 600 cedis. That means already we have given them our services and we have made the profit of 40%. And now when we talk about corn in Ghana, the maximum corn which is grown in Ghana is 800 kgs to 1200 kgs in 1 acre. We come into action, we already make the yield up to 3,000 kgs per acre, which means we have 250% of growth in their profit. And helping them to sell the crops across the globe makes a better way to bring them up in the supply chain.
Excellent, excellent, Karan. Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns? Excellent. Thank you so very much. That was extremely powerful. And make sure your information is in the chat box,
Sure.
please. And that conversation definitely will be going forward. I'm excited about your work that you're doing, and we look forward to sharing it and being with you as this growth moves forward. So are there any additional comments, questions?
Loretta.
Oh, you're so very welcome, dearest. Thank you. I have to tell you, he's so dedicated. He and his wife called me last night, the night before last, to make sure the time was correct, because I think what you're 9 hours ahead of me, that's a lot of time.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot of time.
Yeah, she's 9 hours, I am 4 hours ahead of you. So.
Yeah, but he was committed and dedicated and wanted to make sure that his voice was heard. And we thank him so very, very much. That concludes the Chamber of Commerce conversation. One of the things I wanted to share is we see the importance and the impact of chambers, how they can help and support entrepreneurs and small businesses. I would highly recommend that if you have any inquiries, comments, concerns, or how to grow your business, by all means, reach out to your local chamber, but you could also reach out to the chamber members here on this panel, as well in your community, and establish your growth and your economic sustainability as we move forward. Thank you very much.